right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. We're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to call our public hearing to order at 5:40 p.m. And we'll take a quick roll call. We've got Dr. Rink here, Dr. Diaz, myself, Carmen Trujillo, Ms. Bueno, and Mr. Carrillo. So we're all here with a quorum. We can proceed. And just to give a basic overview, I'm going to switch it over to Dr. Hagigat to give us a summary about why we're here this evening. We're scheduled to be here from 5:30 to 6:30, but we definitely want to hear from everyone. So please pick up comment cards from Ms. Miriam, and Dr. Hagigat will give them to us. And we do have an interpreter here this evening, Ms. Raquel. So Ms. Linda, if you've got any ground rules you want to share, I think that would be helpful.
Thank you, Ms. Trujillo, and members of our audience. I'd like to introduce our interpreter this evening. Her name is Raquel from Arizona Translators. So if there's anyone needing assistance with translation, she has headsets available up here. We can certainly get you connected. If anyone wishes to address the board who is Spanish speaking, at the time when your name is called, you'll come forward to the microphone. And then Ms. Raquel will simultaneously translate your public comments to the governing board. Thank you, Ms. Trujillo.
Y para los que no tienen audífonos, los pueden recoger acá en este lado por si acaso no entendieron lo que se dijo. Gracias. I said if they don't have their headsets and they needed to know what was being said, they can pick up headsets.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So we're going to keep it typical like a board meeting is at 3 minutes each, because we do want to hear from everyone. But other than that, we are here to listen. We will begin calling up names from our cards. So here's the microphone over to the left. And thank you for being here.
Buenas tardes. Good evening. Thank you so much for being here. I am going to stand up. I am Dr. Hagigat. I am the superintendent of Phoenix #1, Phoenix Elementary School District. I am very excited to be here tonight, and I really appreciate all of you that have taken the time to be here with us. I wanted to share with you that today we're here because we were needing a temporary boundary change for Dunbar, and that was because we did not have the right educational system and the programs that we needed for our students because we were lacking teachers. And so it wasn't a very simple decision to make. We spent weeks working with our administration and making sure that we were in a position to offer the quality education that every child deserves. And so today, this hearing is so that we can formalize our interest in hearing from you and understanding your perspective, but I do want to share our students are in Magnet. They began, our 6th, 7th, and 8th graders and some of their siblings began their journey at Magnet on the 19th of September. And again, it was because of the circumstances of not being able to have the quality education that we needed. Again, I want to thank our principal. I don't see her, Ms. Millsaps, and also Mr. Walker for working so closely with us and being able to provide a better outcome for our students. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to President Trujillo and our board.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hagigat, for that information. It looks like we do have to adopt our agenda. So do we have a motion to adopt our agenda as presented this evening?
Jessica Bueno, so moved.
Thank you very much. Do we have a second?
Roger Carrillo, I second.
Wonderful. Any discussion on adopting our agenda as presented for our public hearing this evening? Hearing none. All in favor say aye. Aye. Hearing the ayes, the motion passes, and we will begin. Our first commenter would be Kimberly Vital. Please come up.
Ms. Vital, I'm sorry, could you please speak from the microphone and into the microphone, please?
Okay.
I'd like to address the governing board with my concerns. So originally I had edited and spent days upon hours writing something up in response to this. It hits me very emotional because Magna Traditional is a highly excelling, rigorous curriculum educated school. I can't help but to think, how is this situation fair to students, teachers, families, and parents alike? Not only is there dramatic change for Magna Traditional, it's also a dramatic change for Dunbar students. I can imagine. There's probably a lot of things you would, you're going to get, redirected for that you otherwise wouldn't. And not to mention the achievement gap. If you look at what was used to be called AZM2 last year from 2021, you can find it on Arizona Department of Education.gov. You can see a dramatic difference as far as testing scores. And because Magna Traditional is a school where all students are held accountable for their education at highly expecting levels, how is it that this gap is going to, be met from the incoming kids that have had to be suffered with not receiving such great education? And I shouldn't stress that Magnet is highly excelling upon all schools within the district. I feel that all schools should be highly excelling. No schools and no students should be left behind. And because us parents are the backbone to our kids' education, I'm kind of wondering why it is this transition happened and none of us were talked to, asked, no survey was sent home. The digital technology world is insane. I didn't hear anything until prior to the change being happening. And I'm assuming that's because we had to hold this necessary regulated meeting. I kind of wonder, if we didn't have this meeting, how many parents would have had a voice, or how many parents would have had that ability to impact the change, or anything for that matter. But I feel like in this transition that at the end of the day, the students were really left behind, and that's very unfortunate. And I kind of guess I'm hoping from this meeting, I hear better answers on how this transition was made and brought to where it is now, as opposed to it's been weeks in the working. What did those weeks account for? What studies were done? There's other public schools that are, rather local as well. So I guess I just want information, because in this whole transition, we never were provided anything. Thank you.
Thank you very much. May I please call Sierra Vaca up to comment this evening? Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Hi. So I guess my say is, prior to this, with the dress code, the policies, like with a transition coming in, why are you guys so negative against boys having earrings? He's going to school for education, not based off how he looks, how he dresses. So I don't understand why this is like a big concern or a big factor at your guys' school. I'm more of an open parent. I am okay with things, but as far as like the school saying no, they can't improvise in with it, I feel like that's kind of a disconnect on letting us let our children be who they want to be and feel comfortable in their own skin. Other than that, you guys are a pretty good school. I've noticed with the homework that my third grader has been coming home with, it's way different from what they were doing here in Dunbar. But my other concerns is just really like the no earring policy bothers me all the way to the core. So that's it.
Thank you very much. I apologize for my, if I messed this name up, but I believe it might be Tony Rodriguez. I might have said that incorrectly. Oh, thank you. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
First of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity to address the board. I would have to say, though, I'm a little disappointed in that all you have is parents expressing their ire, but we're still not getting any answers. Whenever my child came home and told me her teacher said that they would be getting 13 new students in her class, I said to her, "For real?" And she said, "Yeah." And she had told me that the students were coming from Dunbar, and I knew nothing about Dunbar. And so I went online and looked at the different scores, etc. And I thought to myself, you know, the bottom line is I want my child to have the best education, and I do not want to get in the way of anyone else's getting their child a good education. So I'm not here to speak down Dunbar students coming to Magnet. What I'm here for is that, number one, I feel that as parents, we have been disrespected. I don't understand how you could make such major decisions that you said that you worked on for months and months and not run it past the parents. Now, I have an idea that you just didn't want to hear the parents, because I'm sure if you had brought this to the parents, you would have heard some concerns that we would have had. All right. As I said before, I understand your circumstances, that you had students and they needed educated and you didn't have enough teachers. And so therefore you had to come up with a solution. And whether or not it's the right solution, only time will tell. But I know one thing. I know that often when people come up with solutions and those solutions tend to work, then at that point in time, those solutions start to be in stone, and they're not just temporary, like we're moving a temporary boundary here. All right. They become permanent. It seems to me, if you're going to bring students to Magnet from another school that may not have the same academic rigor, that there are things that you should send with those students. Those teachers all of a sudden ended up with 13 new students in their classroom, plus the 19 that were already there. I asked my daughter, "Do you have a second teaching assistant in there to help?" "No, everything's still the same." That doesn't make any sense. To me, you're setting people up for failure. If you're going to do this, then do it right. Do it right. If you're going to put 30 kids in a classroom and half those kids, or let's say a third of those kids, are maybe academically behind the rest of the class, then there should be help there for them to help them to bring their standard up so that they're not frustrated. All right. And that they can truly be successful. There also needs to be, I think, counselors or someone of that ilk to help the students to meld together. You're
Thank
talking
you.
about two
Thank you for your comment.
different
Your time is up.
cultures. I
Thank you.
understand. Two different cultures. And you're just throwing them together and hoping for the best. I'm very disappointed in the thought process that went into this.
Thank you very much, Ms. Rodriguez. May we please have Amanda Bagison And please correct me if I said that wrong. Thank you for being here.
So my understanding is that several students are struggling with this change. How are you guys addressing the students to best support them with this transition? Like what's already stated is that none of the parents are made aware. This way we could prepare our kids for this transition. We have also kids that are on IEPs, 504 plans that have disabilities that need to be prepared for these transitions. What did you guys do for them? It also doesn't make sense that about a year or two ago, when the risk of Dunbar was being closed, you guys gave parents the opportunity to come and speak. So this way that wouldn't happen. And you didn't give us the chance to come and speak before uprooting our kids. How is that fair? And if this was to be reversed, then they're being uprooted yet again. So why did we wait to have this meeting till after the fact? We have a school that doesn't appear to be completely equipped for the students that they have received. Considering the first week of school, I've already gotten 4 instances and 2 phone calls from the school. Because they didn't review my child's IEP plan. Because they are ill prepared for the students that they have there. There's a teacher there already who was there for one of the instances who didn't even know what to do or how to intervene in the incident that occurred in the classroom. So my child was left to a bullying incident. It's not okay. My child, the first week at Magnet, has already gone into crisis. Yes, they've already come out and they've already had to talk to us because of it. It's not okay to put our children in this situation and expect them to just adapt and get over it. It's unacceptable. And as board members, I would think that you guys, before jumping to this and everything like that, would make sure that every option is explored. And that includes coming to the parents and seeing what the parents may even be able to recommend, or even say, hey, what if we do this and everything like that? Because sometimes if you're within a box, there could be other people thinking outside the box. There could be other people that give other options and ideas that can contribute to what can be done. So this way our students aren't having to go through this. So that's all I've got for you right now.
Thank you. May we please have Ruby Nava come forward to the microphone? Thank you.
My son started off with a great beginning. Up until this past week, I noticed a drastic change in my child. He's been complaining about frequent headaches, stress, trouble concentrating, and struggling overall. I learned that there's approximately 12 new students in my child's classroom, which we never got a notice about. I was outside Magnet Traditional getting ready to drop off my child this morning. And he started crying, begging me not to go back home. This is affecting my child mentally and physically. I am concerned for all the students. So Phoenix School District number 1, please don't fail to provide a safe learning environment for our children. I expect change and a good outcome as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much. May we please have Stephanie Cujo come forward? Please correct me if I mispronounce that as well.
Cujo, whatever you want to call it. I'm used to it all. The change was very disappointing. Like they said, everyone has already said, we were not brought, or you guys didn't bring it to any of the parents. It was just a, whoop. My first day at Magnet, I had anxiety being there. I was going to pull my son Just by talking, the orientation thing, I was having panic attacks and my kid hadn't even started yet. Because of one, how strict the teacher was talking to me, well, to the families. I'm not used to that. And now you're bringing my child to this? And they're telling him, you're this, do this, you can't do this, you're gonna can't cut your hair, you can't. No. It's not fair to the children. Our children is not used to that. Like they're afraid of the behaviors. Well, we're afraid of their education that you guys are putting them in. Our kids are here, they're here. I understand. Everyone should have the opportunity to have a good education. But at the same time, their kids, it took time for that. It took years to build them there. They weren't just thrown there like our children. How are you going to get my children there? You know, I was going to pull my kid. When I walked out of there that day, first of all, the teachers didn't even give us the programs that the other teachers got, the pamphlets, because he was so busy telling us, your kid will be in detention. If he's chewing bubble gum, he's got his phone out. He's so like this. Well, he's not even at the school because he's on maternity leave. Okay. So then I said to my son, he's only, what has it been 2 weeks? My son's already been pulled out of the class and they put them in another class. So not did you guys uproot him from this school. They went and started at one class teacher and now he's in another teacher's class. There were several kids that was uprooted since they've been there. 2 weeks. My son said, Mom, I said, I'm going to pull you out this school. He says, I only want to stay because I want to play for Dunbar. I allowed him to stay to play for Dunbar. He wouldn't have been there. I know he's not at that level. I wish he was, but this was the plate that we were served. And I think that you guys should have matched this plate. Like I said, I'm not against, and I do believe that every student can be there, but we're just not. So I think that you guys should reevaluate it, look at the schools around, give these children a chance to get a good education, yes, but be fair about it. And it's not being fair right now. It's not. My son, he's, I said, how are things going? I don't know. I don't even know where he's at. He's even catching on. I don't even know what you guys are doing, but I know he's been uprooted from that school already to another classroom. Thank you.
Thank you all. May we please have Elizabeth Verdugo come forward?
A lot of parents already spoke, but I wanted to speak. I'm gonna come here right now.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Kaylee Padilla. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
All right. So 5 years ago, when my family moved here from out of state, we began to look for the right school for our soon-to-be second grader. We chose Magnet. We chose Magnet because of the school atmosphere, a place where our student could be pushed academically, but also cared for. We chose Magnet because they cared about the grades and behavior you had before you had enrolled in the school. We chose Magnet because of the smaller class sizes that had an instructional aide in every class. We chose Magnet because it's not a neighborhood school. The students and families that are there are choosing to be there. I've been grateful for the education of my 3 children that we have received there. However, with the district's choice to move students to Magnet, those things that we loved about the school are fading away for my 7th grader. Classes of almost 40 students and the behaviors of students frequently disrupting classes is now something that my child has to deal with on a daily basis, and he's frustrated. Students cannot be fully supported when the class size and behavior can be overwhelming at times. I'm not only concerned for my student. As a former teacher, I worry about the stress that is being put on the teachers at Magnet, many of whom are early in their career. I worry that they'll become burnt out, and I'm hopeful that the district is worried for them as well. Are they properly being supported at this time? I hope that the district will look for alternatives to help all of the students and teachers. I agree that all students deserve a quality education, and this situation is hard for all sides, but it's not working. My 7th grader wanted to share his thoughts as well, but he had a prior commitment tonight, so he wrote them down for me. He said, school, since more students have joined, has been harder. It's harder to focus and we don't always get to finish as much as we should because of the distractions in class. Students seem to take school for granted. I'm trying to be the best student I can, but it's hard and I leave school frustrated. I don't want to feel frustrated anymore. I just want school to be back how it was. I'm asking the board to please look for alternatives. I hope that our opinions are listened to and that this meeting wasn't just a formality. I hope that a solution is found that will help everyone. One that most importantly will support all of the students, both Dunbar and Magnet, and our teachers. Thanks.
Thank you very much. May we please have Mary Ellen Pearson Phillip come forward? Thank you.
Thank you, board. Thank you, President Trujillo and Dr. H. Nice meeting you. I'm going to ask questions, and after I do that, I'm going to give you the questions because I hope that we get answers for this. When was the boundary change decided by district? Why weren't 6th, 7th, and 8th grade parents of Magnet invited to give feedback prior to the execution of this decision? What criterion was used to determine that Magnet would be the school to accommodate Dunbar students? This is called a temporary boundary change when Magnet has always been an open enrollment school, just as Shaw Montessori is open enrollment. Both Magnet and Montessori have never fallen into the district's boundary limits. Why are boundaries being established now? Magnet's teacher to student ratio has always fallen into the 1 to 23 range and an adult to child ratio of 1 to 2 because of the IA. What additional personnel resources are being provided to Magnet to help with the increase of students, which is now 1 to 33 in my granddaughter's 6th grade class? Because of Magnet's rigorous academic requirements, what additional intervention resources are being provided to Dunbar students to ensure that they will be successful at Magnet? What recourse will be taken if this decision begins to affect the learning of students at Magnet? And that's all students, Magnet and Dunbar students. And what are your long-range plans for Dunbar and Magnet? Thank you.
Hi, I just want to say that because I have 2 little kids here, they have exceeded their threshold for a meeting. So I am going to have to leave, but I appreciate the comments that have been shared and I will tune in virtually. And I hope we can respond to you very soon. Thank you for the time. And thank you for the questions and providing your feedback to us.
Right, we're going to welcome Rebecca Law to come forward, please.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Rebecca Law. I am the former middle school teacher at Dunbar. And like the previous speaker, I have some questions that I know you can't answer them today, but at some point it would be nice. One concern I had was if Magnet has room for 70 kids, why couldn't they spare 2 teachers to come to Dunbar? I was involuntarily transferred after this move, so I know that transfers are something that can happen. So I'm just curious as to why that wasn't something that was brought to anyone. I think in general, just feedback would have been something that would have been nice to be able to give. I was also sent to a school that they already had someone in that position. So now I'm filling a position that was already there, and they're doing like a math interventionist role, which is the role I was hired for by this district when I was hired last year. And the way this meeting was advertised as a proposed boundary change, it happened. It happened a couple of weeks ago. We've changed the boundaries. I have new students. My students have new teachers. Their teachers have new students. Lots of changes are happening. And, you know, the day we found this out, I had a great morning. The Coyotes mascot came to surprise me. It's been all over the social media for the school, and it's been great. But it just breaks my heart every time I watch it and I see Rebecca Law, Dunbar Elementary School teacher, and that's not what I am anymore. I am now her elementary teacher, which is fine. Everyone's lovely there, but that's not my home. And when I wake up in the morning an hour earlier to drive farther, it's upsetting because I stayed for my kids. If I didn't want to be at Dunbar, I would not have stayed at Dunbar. I could have gone to other schools. There were other openings, but I stayed at Dunbar. And now I don't have those kids. And as a highly qualified 612 math educator, the way I've been bounced around this district, I started as an intervention, and then I was subbing, and then I got to go back to intervention, and then I was subbing some more. And then I came back as a math teacher, and then now my kids are gone and I have to go to a new school. And I'm sorry, I'm emotional, but this is how I feel every day now. So if you had told me last year when I was hired in Phoenix Elementary to be a math interventionist at Dunbar, and only a year and a half later, I'd be at a different school with a different job, I probably would not have signed that contract a year and a half ago. Because there's this stereotypical saying, when you stay for the outcome, not the income. I stayed for the outcome, and now it's different. So thank you for listening.
Thank you. May we please have Zulem Mendez come forward? And please help me say that appropriately.
No, you're fine.
Thank
My
you.
kids are probably all embarrassed right now. Hi, most of you guys know Clarissa and Daniel's mom and Jordan. I recently had my 8th grader graduate from Dunbar here. And let me tell you, she's in Central right now and she is doing an amazing job. And I want to thank all the teachers here from Dunbar, Miss Nelson, the principal, Miss Law, Miss Melissa, Miss Shear, Miss Shores, Miss Pettit, Miss McConkey, all the teachers. I can name all of them. I'm myself a Dunbar student as well. The only reason why I brought my kids here because I know this school is a good school for my kids. And they did an amazing job with my 8th grade, well, my high school kid. As she found out that my kids were getting transferred to another school, she was heartbroken. My kids were heartbroken. I was heartbroken. It's not fair for them. It's not fair for us parents. Another thing I don't like, well, I don't want to say I like, but I don't think it's fair is that how Magnet is so strict on the handbook, how they expect us parents to be there at every meeting for the 8th graders, or else it's going to affect them and not graduate. And I do not think that's right. Dunbar never did that to none of us parents that had 8th graders here prior before I did. It's not fair. It stresses out my kid, my daughter. It stresses her out a lot. My son hasn't been in school for almost a week because he had broke his index finger. It is stressing him out because of the amount of homework that he has to get done. I called the school and they said they were going to try to help me with it, work with it. I haven't heard nothing from them. If I were to say that to Dunbar, to the teachers here, they will try to help me and help my son. And let me tell you, my son is one of the top kids in the reading class and math and all the test scores. And because of the reason where my son is at, is because of Dunbar teachers. And I don't think it's fair that you guys just decided to switch them to a different school that you guys know that our kids weren't at the same level as them. And
I just want to thank all Dunbar teachers for being there for my kids and for all of our other kids that live here in this neighborhood. I don't want to offend none of you guys. I don't want to offend no magnet kids or magnet parents, but there is also concerns. The magnet kids do say their stuff to our kids, and they make comments, rude comments about my Dunbar kids. And I don't think that's fair, because they would not like it if magnet kids came to Dunbar and they talked down on them. I guarantee you there will be a problem. And I'm not that type of person to go make problems with other parents, but I'm just speaking my mind on my kids' mental health and how they're stressing out. Thank you.
Well, it is 6:15. Would you like to address any more information, Dr. Hagikat?
I definitely would.
Okay.
And part of our interest here is, as it has been said by several of our parents, is to have the opportunity to provide a high quality education for all of our students, Dunbar and Magnet. This is a hearing, and therefore we're not able to do a Q&A, but I did pick up, of course, the questions that were brought to us, and we'll have an opportunity to share those answers with our board so that they have a review of some of the information that we've already been through. Please know that these decisions were not made lightly. And one of the questions that continue to come up was, why weren't the parents involved in the decision-making of this transfer? And the reason is because we had limited choices with limited time. Our children were losing a lot of time. Our Dunbar children were losing a lot of educational time. And we knew we had explored all of the different opportunities in different schools with our staffing. We explored having the opportunity to bring somebody to Dunbar. We were very in intimate discussions with both principals at Dunbar and at Magnet. And so while it may appear that this was done in a very lightheaded way, it was not. Many hours and many nights were spent thinking about what was the best outcome for our students. I'm a mother of two, and I know that change is difficult. And I very much appreciate the thoughts that were shared today. And I just share with you that all of these thoughts and all of these decisions were made with our children at mind. That's how I do business. That's how I've always done business. And so I want to continue to work with you as parents and continue to gain and earn your trust as we work with our students, because Dunbar students are extremely important for us. Magnet students are extremely important for us. For me, students in all 14 kids are my kids. I take this very personal, and I will continue to communicate. I hear that there's areas that we could have done a better job communicating. I take that to heart, and I want to continue to work with you so that all of our students get the absolute best. We do have ways to continue to work with the students that are behind. And we want to make sure that we work with those that are finding themselves in a stressful situation, because their social emotional well-being is just as important as the academics. So I truly thank you for coming out, and there will be opportunities in the future for Q&As as our board comes and visits our different communities. And we take everything that comes from you to heart, so that we can create a space, not just at the site level, but at our district, where all students have an opportunity to learn and grow in a safe and nurturing environment. Thank you for this opportunity. I appreciate it.
With that said, the board is not making any decisions on this evening, but I do believe it is on our agenda for our next meeting, which is October the 4th at 5:15. So there's an email address that we give out. It's communityrelations@phxschools.org for any additional comments or needs that maybe might have been missed. If you'd like to come up and finish a comment, that would be great before we close out.
So you just said that you're concerned about the mental, physical well-being. Have you ever had a child become suicidal? I have. It's the worst thing in the world. And that is what I was dealing with last week. This can't happen. It can't. And you cannot wait to put off these meetings till after the fact. But I want you guys to really think about that. You have parents coming up and saying that they're concerned about their children's mental and emotional well-being. And I've already gone through it. Not just once, it's just been once this year and twice last year. Do something.
With that said, we are gonna, we'll stick around, of course, until 6:30, just discussing. I'm not sure, but I do have a few things to talk to Dr. Hagiga about, so we will be here for the next few minutes, but thank you all for being here. And again, our next board meeting is October the 4th at the district office at 5:15 p.m. And again, that email address is communityrelations@phx.org. No, that's wrong. phoenixschools.org. My apologies. Sure, come on up.
So, my name is Erica Gagnon, and I'm the EL interventionist over at Magnet.
I'm sorry, could you say your name one more time? Just so
Erica
I can
Gagnon.
document it? Thank
I have
you.
a card here.
Oh, thank you very much.
I'm the EL interventionist over at Magnet. And this is my first year here at Phoenix Elementary 1 and as an interventionist. And my caseload was pretty big already. And now that we have Dunbar students coming over, there's no way that I can meet their needs, the EL kids, as a math interventionist. So I agree that we need to have assemblies to help students get together and be more cohesive. And we haven't had any new staff that I have seen. We have a social worker now on campus, but as far as extra IEs in the classroom, as far as extra support around the school, we haven't seen that. We have a student in a wheelchair who doesn't have an aide. And so they're depending on students to get her around the school, which is taking time away from their classroom time. Okay, I wheeled her upstairs today to go to science, and I walked in that classroom and it is bananas. It was completely bananas. Have you guys been on the campus to see the classrooms? You need to get into the classrooms and see what's going on in there. And the other thing, I'm super nervous. I'm a public speaker. The other thing is I've seen a lot of the comments from Phoenix Elementary 1 online. It talks about you're trying to be transparent. You're trying to be transparent. You don't try, you do. You need to be more transparent. Because you really let the teachers down, the parents down, and the students down. Thank you.
Okay. Well, anywho, we are going to close out the evening and adjourn. The time is 6:24. And again, we thank you for being here, and always the board welcomes feedback and communication. So thank you all.